Hello. Come on in. How are you doing? Yes, you are our current interview. I think I have you scheduled right here. Uh, this would be your 10th interview, correct? Absolutely. Okay, now please come on in, have a seat. You look very snazzy, really dressed up for the occasion. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I'm not dressed up because, I respect myself too much to do something like that for, someone as lowly as an interviewee. But I really appreciate you doing that. I think that it shows a lot of initiative and definitely bumps you up in sort of the rankings of the candidates. Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Just because you've been on the 10th interview doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get the job of any kind. But we just want to make sure that we understand every candidate before we move forward, okay? Okay, uh, so since you have been here through, 9 previous interviews, we've gotten to know you fairly well. However, we do get a lot of candidates, so there is like a few things that we don't quite remember about you, so we're going to have to go through and fill those things out, make sure that everything's okay. When we do these 10 interviews, because we want to make sure that we pick the right candidate, right? We want to make sure that you're not wasting your time, we're not wasting our own time, and we're really finding the best person that we can exploit, right? So with that, let's go ahead and get started with the interview. Are you ready? Oh, there's no need to be nervous. You've been here 9 times before. It's totally fine. So we're just going to go over some basics. Like I said, I'm going to forget. I've forgotten a few things. Then we're going to recap some of your older interviews. This is mainly because there are some issues maybe that we have found, or perhaps we just want to remind you of the kinds of things that we ended up doing with you, especially because some of our candidates, they're a little loopy, and we want to make sure that we're on the same page. Then we're going to go over some stipulations and regulations about this job, in particular because a lot of our previous interviews were trying to get a little bit of a vibe check, just making sure that your aura is good and whatnot. So this is more of a technical interview, right? And then I'm going to ask you some job questions, some simple questions that are going to come up day to day in the job, just to ensure that you know what you're getting yourself into, and make sure that you are subservient. So and then lastly, we're going to do a very quick resume review. This is mainly because up until now, we haven't actually looked at your resume. We had an AI look over your resume, and, our AI thought that your resume was okay. So, you were let through, but our AI is actually very, it's top of the line. It's very, very good. It rejects thousands and thousands of candidates that are perfectly reasonable for the job, except that, we just don't care. So, all right, so let's go ahead and start with the basics here. Okay, so could you give me your name? I of course remember your name, but I just want it for the files here. Yeah, you've been here 9 times. I of course remember your name. Yeah, I'll just fill it in for you. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Okay. And now, could you tell me why are you interested in this job? And remember, you can't say that you're interested in the money, because that to us is a little bit too honest, and you're automatically going to be rejected. You're just very passionate about the kind of work that we do. Absolutely. Yeah, I know our work is incredibly important. It's honestly, I don't think the world can go without our new tech startup. So, okay. Now, what is your expected pay range? And remember, this is a trick question. So if you put too high, you're automatically going to get rejected. If you put too low, that is what we're going to give you. And if you put at about the right spot, we're going to think that you have too realistic expectations, and we're going to reject you then as well. So, okay. Did you mean an extra 0 there? Okay. And can you give us your address? The address is mainly there so that we can keep tabs on you and make sure that we can sell your data so that we can make money on the side. Okay. Now, in terms of basics, would you take a bullet for our company? This is a simple yes or no question. We want to make sure that we understand where your priorities lie. Okay. Are you sure? Okay. And how long has your job search been going on for? Remember, this is also a trick question. You need to ensure that your job search is not too long for us. Otherwise, we are going to judge you very harshly and possibly reject you. However, if you're still working someplace, then you have a little bit too much self-respect and feel a little bit too comfortable, right? You're not desperate enough. And so we're going to reject you then as well. Okay. An appropriate amount of job searching. Okay. And now, are you willing to work weekends? Okay. All right. So that's just the basics. So let's go ahead and just recap. I've met you before. We've chatted. It's just been it's been a lot of fun. So I just wanted to, since we haven't actually touched upon your previous interviews before, the first interview with us, you did take an IQ test. You did fail the IQ test. However, some of your answers were a little bit interesting, and we do tend to look out for people that fail their IQ tests because they can be a little dumb and we can easily take advantage of them. So, all good there. Then we, of course, had a group meditation session with you and all of the other candidates. Yes, we did. It was a full concert hall of candidates that we brought over for the meditation session. It was just so that we felt like, as a company, as a tech startup in particular, we want to create a community, right? So we wanted to bring all of the people that are looking for a job, that are competing with each other, and we wanted to put them in the same room so that they could, look at each other, realize that everybody's looking for a job together, and that they can maybe create community with each other, and that way they can't rely on us. Okay. And from what I understand, you smashed it. You did not talk to any single person while you were there. It was actually very impressive. Then, of course, we had a phone interview. The phone interview was with the CEO. Yes, the CEO is right there. He likes to be sort of here. He doesn't want to be noticed very often. He just wants to sort of rest. He's very, very busy, and so it's not very often that he gets to sort of just relax in the background. And he likes to, be here for the interviews anyway, because he wants to, at the very least, get a good understanding as to who is coming up for candidates. Okay, so. For the front end, with the CEO, I'm not privy to that sort of information. So that is between you and the CEO. So whatever was said, any profanities or demands, if he asked for food or treats or anything like that, that is, that's between you guys. Okay, so. It's just, you can't be at the company and have the CEO not like you. So, and of course, then afterwards, we did have the 7-hour co-working session. So you did come into the office and we had you do some work for us. It was brilliant. We were really swamped. And so your work was really actually very, very helpful. Of course, we didn't pay you or anything like that. This was just an opportunity for you to show us your work, show us how you handle stress. And from there, we're able to use some of that labor and take some labor from candidates before we even hire them. So that's great. Afterwards, we did get the lie detector test going. That was a interview. We strapped you into a lie detector. It's not very accurate, but we like to do it just to scare our candidates a little bit, because some candidates do tend to lie, and the only people that are allowed to lie is the company itself, us. So we want to make sure that you are sort of caught in any sort of lie of any kind, or at the very least scaring you a little bit. Yeah, I know. It's not that great, but desperate times call for desperate measures, and we definitely would do it again. So And then afterwards, we did do a full week of you shadowing people within the office. You weren't provided any form of snacks or any form of lunch break or anything like that. It's because you weren't really working for us, right? So we're not compelled or obligated to give you any sort of a lawful break. So. That was good. And you passed all of those very well. So I'll be honest, it's looking very good for you. You and the about 150 other candidates that are at the 10th stage interview, I think you guys, any one of you could totally be the person. So, and with that, let's move on to the stipulations and regulations. Okay. So this is mainly a category that I need to go through. It's not something that you really need to respond. But it's just something so that you can understand what is the expectations we have of you and what you can have of us, right? Communication is absolutely key. We have an on-site therapist for everybody. That therapist, of course, does not work with people that will be at your level, but they do work with, the CEO, with people like me, that sort of thing. So, with that, you will be making 75 cents an hour plus tips. Okay, so at this tech startup, we do accept tips. It's not very often that you'll have customer facing interactions, but when you do, you will be able to ask for tips. And, if you want, you can sort of go to any local crossing, any traffic light, and you can, of course, ask for tips there. We would prefer if you don't associate with us during those times, but it is a way for you to get income. And of course, we will tax you on that income. So make sure to report any income that you make during that time as well. And next, of course, there is no guarantee for work. So when you do, if you do get hired here, we do tend to have a lot of different avenues for labor. So, our exploitation is through the roof. It is very, very strict and very well thought out. So there's actually no guarantee that you will actually have any form of work that you'll have to do. And therefore, that 75 cents per hour plus tips is only going to be eligible for the times that you are working. We're going to give you the schedule of how much you're going to be working, the day that you're supposed to work, right? So if you're working on a Tuesday morning, we'll let you know. And then if you're working again on Thursday morning, we'll let you know. However, you must be available. The next thing, you must be available 24/7 because you never know what might happen. And we might need you to come in, okay? So just be available 24/7. You're not allowed to block anybody from the company on your phone. We are going to call you at any time, any place, anywhere that we want. So it's just, and then that's mainly because we're a family. We're a family here. And, you wouldn't block a brother, a sister, a mother. No, definitely not. Oh, you're no contact with your family? Bad example. We are chosen family here, okay? You wouldn't block a chosen family. So just letting you know, that's the sort of thing that's the sort of expectation that we have here. And of course, we don't offer raises for the first 5 years that somebody's working here, and that's mainly because we want to keep costs low. We want to make sure that our non-profitable tech startup continues to stay non-profitable, okay? Okay, and so next, let's go over to the job questions, okay? So this is just simple job questions, things that would come up, day to day at the workplace, as you're grabbing coffee or whatever before you start your day. Just, things that you need to know how to answer, okay? Okay, so the first question is, would you love this job if it was a worm? Yes, this is a question that was it was added as sort of a, funny little question that we ask, but, there is a right or wrong answer here. And, we want to make sure that you are committed to the job. So again, would you love this job if it was a worm? Okay. I think that's the right answer. Okay. Now, at the job, would you prefer to have a gay son or a thought daughter? Yes, so here at our job, I know this might be a little confusing, but we like to, um, ensure that um, a lot of our candidates, a lot of our employees are aligned, right? And we want to make sure that they are on the same page and that they are of one mind, of one value. So we want, just gay son or thought daughter. Which one would you prefer, particularly when you're on the job? Okay. The answer to that would be, uh, it would be gay son, because a gay son is more exploitable than a thought daughter. A thought daughter would likely have a little bit more self-worth and have avenues of making money that are not within the company. So she's a little bit more of a liability. Whereas the gay son, lack of confidence, desperate to prove themselves is exactly what we need. So the answer would have been gay son there. But that's okay. That's okay. Okay, so next question is, if you found out the CEO is actually an awful person, right? What would you do to defend their honor? Right, so say, posts, tweets are extinct, but if say old posts of our CEO have come out and they've been doing some really heinous things, and suddenly our tech startup is on the verge of being shut down because people don't want to work with us. How would you, as a lowly employee, work to defend our CEO's honor so that you can restore our reputation? Okay. Is that all that you would do? Okay. Yes. Initiative here is key. Okay. Okay. Now, because we are a tech startup, we do believe that AI is the future. Who cares about the environment? And as such, are you comfortable using AI in ways that are completely unnecessary to the workflow of your job, just so that we can ensure that our shareholders and that we can market ourselves as someone who is AI forward? Okay. Yes, we do track how much AI you do use. We need to make sure that you do use as much AI as possible. And particularly if you do use AI, we want to make sure that you start to get a little bit delusional, because we want to make sure that you are unable to think clearly, and that way we can just use you a little bit better. Okay? All right. Okay. So those are the job questions, just day-to-day job stuff. And then, so let me just take a quick look here at your resume. Let's just put that there. Okay. Is that you? Right here. Yeah, okay. Okay, I immediately see a little bit of a problem. Our AI didn't catch this. So it says here that you left your previous job at, March 30th at 4 p.m. And it says here that you started a new job March 31st at 8 a.m. Can you explain the gap in your resume here between the 4 p.m. and the 8 a.m.? You slept. Okay. I would rethink that over here. It shows a little bit of laziness in your resume here. It's really not a good look here. Just letting you know, in case you don't get this job, because you never know. There is, of course, 150 candidates all in this 10th interview position. There is about 7 more interviews left, and each time we are going to get rid of a few more people. So you'll have to look out for it. Okay, and then it says here, while you were, you have a bachelor's degree, you have a master's degree, and you have a PhD, and you have a 4.0 GPA throughout all of it. Why not hire? That is a serious question. We like to look for people that break the mold here. A 4.0 is very, it's very typical. It's very normal. And I do wonder, what is it that made you stop at 4.0 and not reach for further, not break the mold there. Okay. Okay. And lastly, I do want to ask about sort of these extracurriculars that you have here. I'm a little concerned because it looks like you have a lot of extracurriculars. You run marathons, you have hobbies. That doesn't sound like someone that is desperate. Okay, no, that was an old version of you. It's an old version of your resume. Okay, good to know. Yeah, because we don't really want people. We don't want. I don't want to look at a resume and feel like I'm looking at a person. Okay, I feel like if I do that, then it reminds me that you are a person and that you might have needs, and that is not gonna fly here at our company. Okay. Okay. And if you have any problems with that, take it up with this guy. Okay. All right. So that's it for this interview. You did very, very well. There's a few concerns here and there, but nothing too crazy. So, once you exit, Cassandra will, of course, lead you to your car. I hope you have a really pleasant day, but make sure not to look out for any emails from us. We're not going to get back to you for a little bit, at least a month or two. And during that time, you're going to have to figure out how you're going to be making money. But, after a month or two, we'll, of course, come back to you and say, hey, we really like to come in for another interview, okay? Okay, but if we didn't like you, you're just never going to hear from us again, okay? Okay. All right, then. Well, I hope you have a pleasant day. And, good luck on the job search, okay? Okay, then. Bye-bye.